Hare Krishna. So, we'll be reading today Srila Prabhupada Nectar book. But first we'll sing a song about devotional service. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamula Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani Titani Palana Kori Krishna Basati Basati Boli Parama Adari Bori Gaur Amara Jesa Bastani Koralo Pamana Range Sesa Bastana Heribo Ami Prinami Bhakata Sange Mridanga Bhaja Shuniti Mana Abasara Sarajase Gora Bihita Kirtana Shuni Anande Hridoya Nache Jugala Murti Dekiya Mora Parama Ananda Hoya Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Sakala Prapancha Jaya Jadina Grihe Bhajana Deke Grihe Te Goloka Bhaya Charana Siddhu Dekiya Ganga Sukala Pasimha Paya Tulasi Deki Juraya Prana Madhava Toshani Jani Gora Priya Shaka Sevani Jivana Sartakamani Bhakti Vinoda Krishna Bhajane Anakula Paya Jaha Pratiti Vase Paramasuke Swikara Korvayetaha The dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees gives rise to devotional service, and service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. With great care I observe holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion, and with the greatest reverence and love I choose as my dwelling place the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. In the company of loving devotees, I will visit all those places where my Lord Gaurasundar traveled and performed his pastimes. My mind always begs to hear the music of the mridanga, and my heart dances in ecstasy whenever I hear the kind of kirtan established by Lord Gaurachandra. I feel supreme bliss when I behold the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Radha and Krishna, and I conquer all worldly illusions by honoring the Lord's prasadam. Every day Goloka Vrindavan appears in my home when I see Lord Hari being worshipped there. My joy knows no bounds when I see the Ganges, a river of nectar emanating from the Lord's lotus feet. The sight of the tulasi plant soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. I feel that my life has been fulfilled when I honor shak, a green leafy vegetable preparation that is a favorite of Lord Chaitanya's. Whatever Bhaktivinoda obtains that furthers devotional service to Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest joy. Prabhupada Nectar. The other one has a marker in it. The other one has a bookmark in it. I'm not sure where we are in this one. So we're continuing to read from anyone who's watching and has the book. We're on page 137, number 46. So the section is called Prabhupada Tells a Story. So it says that one of Srila Prabhupada's sannyasi disciples had given up Krishna consciousness, moved away, let his hair grow, stopped wearing dhoti. So it says that even though he had changed like that, separating himself from the movement, some devotees were feeling that he could still be a good spiritual leader. But Srila Prabhupada told him, so that sannyasi who left, he came to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada told him that he will never become successful unless he follows the process of Krishna consciousness. So to illustrate what Srila Prabhupada told him, Srila Prabhupada told a story. So it says that the servant of a very rich man told his master about a yogi that he had seen in the river. That's what it says. Yeah. Well, the next sentence will explain it. Yeah, the yogi was sitting in the water in the river. So he says that the yogi claimed that he could stay in cold water in the river all night in the middle of winter without any outside heat. The yogi was willing to bet anyone, I can do this. So the rich man who heard about this, he made a bet to the yogi that I bet you cannot stay in the cold water in the river all night. So the yogi went into the water, and the rich man and his servant went home. So the next day, the people were saying that the yogi was successful. He stayed in the water all night. So the rich man went there to see the yogi, and he saw, yes, he actually is standing in the water. The rich man went back to the river, and he could see that the yogi was still there in the water. so since that was the bet was that the rich man said, I bet you cannot stay in the water all night. And the yogi said, I can. But the next morning, the yogi was still there. So the rich man actually lost the bet. But then a friend of this rich man said, wait, see that light? He pointed to a small flame in a tower miles away. Somewhere in a building, and there was a lamp with a little light on it, a little fire, right, miles away from there. And he says, you see that? So the rich man's friend said, by his mystic power, this yogi is able to use the heat from that light to keep warm in the water. So his friend said, you should not pay the yogi because he actually used some outside heat from some outside source of heat to keep warm. So the rich man says to the yogi, okay, actually you cheated me. I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to give you the money. So then so the man went back to his home with his servant, and he told his servant to cook his breakfast very quickly. He had to do something. So after some period of time, the servant still had not provided the rich man with his breakfast. So the rich man is becoming impatient, anxious for his breakfast, and he says, "Why is it taking so long?" And the servant says, "Don't worry, I'm cooking and I'm cooking." So the rich man, seeing that it was getting later and later, and nothing was brought to him, he went to his servant, saying, "So where is my breakfast?" And the servant says, "I'm cooking it. It'll be ready soon." So the rich man finally he was getting very upset. He got angry. So he went into the kitchen to say, "Where is the breakfast? What is wrong?" So he saw that his servant had a little tiny fire on the ground or below, and and a pot hanging from the ceiling up there.
What is ceiling?
Ceiling. This is the ceiling, the top of the room. He had the servant hung the pot that's supposed to be on the stove. He's hanging it from the ceiling.
Richmond?
The servant is cooking the breakfast.
I understood that who made this actually?
The servant did that.
Servant. То есть там получается, что был маленький огонь, что маленькое пламя горело, когда он готовил. И слуга он взял вот этот источник огня и поднял так над головой.
And so the rich man got angry. He says it's obvious that little fire down here is not going to, it'll never cook what's in the pot up there on the ceiling. So the servant says that you claim that the yogi was keeping warm in the water at night by the light of some building miles away from here. So the servant says, so I'm doing the same thing. The fire is here, the pot is up there, and it's keeping the pot warm. But the whole point here, is that the servant is showing the rich man that his logic was not good.
То есть он поднял кастрюлю, потом готовился, он ее поднял куда-то высоко поднял. И расстояние было очень далекое от огня до этой кастрюли. И когда он пора спросил, что ты делаешь, а он ему ответил, что накрутили эту логику, что огонь внизу, а кастрюля вверху. Как она быстро приготовится, что сама, как это в йоге, он мог делать язычок, как себя видел.
Okay, so clear what the servant was very smart. He pointed out the argument that the rich man had made was not good. So the rich man agreed that was true, and therefore he went back and he gave his money to the yogi because he did stay in the water all night.
То есть этот слуга, он оказался очень умным и таким образом показал этому богатому человеку, что как нельзя долго готовил, специально показать этому богатому человеку, что в йоге он не будет обманывать. Он не мог сделать воду теплого, себя или огонь вдалеке. И этот богатый человек, он согласился с этой логикой и пошел и дал йогу деньги.
So when Srila Prabhupada was telling this story, the devotees were listening, and they didn't really understand what the purpose of the story was.
И когда Srila Prabhupada закончил рассказывать историю, эти слова преданные, они не поняли, какая для нас эта история смеяться.
So Srila Prabhupada says that if you want to cook, you have to cook, according to the proper method for cooking.
И Srila Prabhupada сказал, если вы хотите готовить еду, то вы должны готовить соответствующим правильным методом.
He says you may have a pot, you may have a fire, but if you don't use it in the proper way, then you'll never be able to cook.
То есть вам нужно иметь кастрюлю, вам нужно иметь огонь, и если вы будете это использовать неправильно, не стоит далеко от другого, то тогда не
So Srila Prabhupada is saying to this sannyasi who had fallen down, he says, he may be chanting Hare Krishna, but if you're not following the process, what good is the chanting?
И Srila Prabhupada сказал тому саньяси, если ты будешь воспевать процесс, тогда будешь воспевать.
If you want to get the actual result, you have to follow the proper method.
То есть если ты хочешь получить результат, то необходимо следовать правильному методу.
So it's a good it's a good lesson here. Just like we chant Hare Krishna mantra, but if we are not following, if we're not avoiding the 10 offenses, then that chanting is not very effective. It's like trying to light a fire and pour water on it. And you keep trying to light it, you keep pouring water on it. So you'll never light the fire. Okay, so next one, number 47. So Srila Prabhupada says that when his spiritual master was in Burma, was opening a center, he would cook very nice puris in ghee. But the people who lived in that area, they would come out of their homes and cover their mouth and nose with a cloth because they could not tolerate the smell of the ghee. They would say, "What is that smell? What are you cooking? What is that obnoxious smell?" So the Srila Prabhupada is saying the same people who could not tolerate the smell of ghee, they had a very favorite preparation called nakil. Nakil. And I'll explain it. At every door, they kept a big covered pot, and if any animals died in that area, cats, dogs, rats, anything, they would put the animal's body in that pot. Understand?
Put animal's body in the pot?
Yeah. In this this particular place, people did not like the smell of ghee, which is so nice. But they had a preparation they liked. They would have a big pot, and if a cat or a dog or some animal died, you find them in the street, they take the animal, put it in this pot, and just let it rot away.
Prabhupada сказал, что люди, которые не могут переносить запах, который посетить, что легче готовят. То есть у них они берут такие кастрюли, и у них там дома есть коты, собаки, крысы, они умирают, и они берут их и кладут в кастрюлю.
So they would keep these things in the pot for 2 or 3 years.
И они держат в этой кастрюле животных
2 or 3 years.
2-3 года.
And so as it would decompose, liquid would come off of it.
Ну и соответственно там, да, они там собираются кастрюли.
So that liquid, they would strain it, they would strain the liquid, and they put it in a bottle, and they would keep it for special occasions.
И когда вот это проходит время, они собирают жидкость, которая накопилась, отжимают ее и заливают в бутылки, и пьют для особых случаев.
So Srila Prabhupada says that whenever anyone in the neighborhood would open one of those pots with the dead animals in it, the whole neighborhood would smell very bad.
И когда вот это соседи, которые там где-то приходят, и они открывают кастрюли, и оно очень плохо воняет.
But they preferred that smell. They preferred that smell and that taste to the smell of pure ghee.
И они предпочитают этот запах, который там зловоние, они предпочитают дышать зловоние, чем дышать чистой.
So Srila Prabhupada is saying this is the material nature is because of their karma, material nature is making them have that kind of consciousness of they have that kind of consciousness.
И Прабхупада сказал, что материальная природа, она наделяет их сознание.
They're drinking this horrible, rotten substance and thinking that this is actually very nice, and they're rejecting ghee, which actually is nice.
То есть они пьют вот эту вот ужасную жидкость, которую они собирают, и считают, что это хорошо, и для них это лучше, чем
Srila Prabhupada said, just like an animal, just like a hog, a pig. You give him nice sweets, rasgulla, sandish, like that, and he will consider that bad, but he'll eat stool and think that this is very nice.
И как семья или сборов, если им дать очень сладкий расогулы, то не будет есть. Но при этом они будут есть упражнения и считать, что это очень хорошо.
Shishigwanata, Shishigwata Vajravihari, Digana, Bhavara, Lady Subhadra, Shigane Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point that because of our certain karma, we actually are suffering, thinking that these people were suffering so much taking this horrible rotten liquid, but thinking that this is great happiness, but actually they were suffering.
Srila Prabhupada объяснил, сказал в этот момент кармы, что эти люди, которые собирают ужасную жидкость, считают, при этом они страдают, но считают, они думают, что они наслаждаются.
Okay, so that next section here, the next paragraph. Srila Prabhupada says a woman's only protection is shyness, being shy. But Srila Prabhupada says in modern society, women are giving up being shy, and so it's causing so much problem in society. Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada remembered something he personally saw, that a chaste girl defended her chastity from the mocking, making fun of by another girl. One girl was nice, chaste girl. Chaste means yeah. Just like a chaste woman is, say, she's married, she's devoted to her husband. She doesn't go around and sleeping with everyone else around. She's chaste. So she's not. I don't know the word for it. Huh? Not chaste. Chaste. Chaste means a chaste woman is if she's married, for example, she's devoted to her husband. She doesn't have many lovers around. She's okay, chaste. Okay, so there was a chaste girl, and she was being made fun of by another girl. So Srila Prabhupada saw, he was traveling on a train in 1945, and he saw one girl riding the train. She was visiting her husband's house for the first time. There was a girl, Srila Prabhupada was traveling on a train. He saw one girl also on the train. So she was traveling and she was going to visit her husband's house. This is the first time. So she had her face covered with a cloth. Because she as after puberty, So the girl at that point, she goes and brings presents, gifts from her family. She's going to visit her husband for the first time. But that was Vedic system. The girls were married really young. But they didn't immediately live with the husband. They were living with the family, with their parents, at first. And then gradually they would little by little they would go visit the husband, bring some gifts. The association started to increase in that way. So this girl was this is her first time going to visit her husband in his home. So there was another girl was there, and she kept pulling at the girl, the chaste girl. She had her face covered, but the other girl was like tugging on her cloth. So she just kept doing that. So the city girl, making fun, she kept doing that, and the third time, the girl slapped the woman from the city. And Srila Prabhupada, he's telling the story. He says, "Yes, you have done right." He told the chaste girl, he says, "You have done right." So Srila Prabhupada, years later, Srila Prabhupada was telling this story. He said, years later, Srila Prabhupada was telling this story. And he said that the city girl was thinking, what is this nonsense? She wanted to criticize the other girl for and so Srila Prabhupada says shyness is the only protection for them. So Srila Prabhupada said that shyness, to be shy, is the only protection for a woman. Srila Prabhupada says, but now there is no modesty left. There's no modesty left. There's no shyness left. Today women generally are not shy. So he says that the shyness is a woman's beauty. But he says modern society that they're breaking that quality. They're breaking it. They're quality. So therefore, there's no real attraction for a woman, because the real attraction is shyness, and generally women are not shy. Okay, and number 48. It says that in Washington, D.C., devotees were showing Srila Prabhupada a picture of the planet Mars, which some spacecraft had taken pictures of Mars. So it says, the news article said that the Martian landscape was very similar to the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So Srila Prabhupada laughed to hear this and told a story from Bengal. So the story is that a man was in his room at night and he heard some noise. A man was at home or in his room somewhere, and he suddenly heard some sound, some noise. So he sat up in bed and he says, "Who is there?" And the voice says, "Oh, I am not stealing." So Srila Prabhupada says, so Srila Prabhupada says, this is the psychology. The man is. Nobody asked him if he was stealing. He asked, "Who is there?" And he's immediately saying, "No, I'm not stealing anything." So Srila Prabhupada says, in the same way, no one asked the scientists to compare Mars to Arizona. No one had told no one asked a scientist to compare the planet Mars to Arizona. Arizona is the state in the United States. Huh?
Compare.
Yeah, they say, yeah. Because Srila Prabhupada says, but they were not asked to make that. They were not asked to make that comparison, but because that's actually what they were doing, so So they brought it up. To see how similar Mars is to Arizona, to the Grand Canyon in Arizona.
Но тем не менее они делают это, Марс сравнивают с Аризоной.
So Prabhupada says they've never been near Mars with their aircraft, their spacecraft. They actually were in Arizona.
И Srila Prabhupada сказал, что никто действительно не был на Марсе, они были действительно в Аризоне.
Like that. They say the same thing about the moon. The moon is finding the same kind of rocks in this part of the United States. But
подобным образом, как с Луной сфотографировали 100 приездов, собрали Луна.
Yeah, there was that story. You're supposed to have to report it too. If you wait. So the next paragraph. So it says that one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples who was preaching in Hong Kong, he left that area without asking Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was not happy about that. Srila Prabhupada saw this devotee in another country, and he chastised him. And Srila Prabhupada said, "Why did you leave, rascal?" Then Srila Prabhupada told a story that was given by the poet Kalidas. So the story is that there was a man sitting on a tree branch, the trunk of the tree, the branch. He's sitting here and he's cutting the branch that he's sitting on. So someone's walking by and saying, if you keep sawing like that, you're going to fall. So he said, just the man who was cutting the branch, he says, "Go away." So he said, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to hear anything from you. Go away. So the man kept sawing the branch until it fell off, and he fell to the ground. He said he went and found the man who had told him that the branch was going to fall, and then he found him and he said, "Oh, you must be a great astrologer. You can understand that this is going to happen."
Он нашел этого человека, который предупреждал об этом, и начал прославлять, говорит, вот ты великий астролог, ты знал, что произойдет.
You can predict the future.
Ты мог предсказать будущее.
But Srila Prabhupada says that is the definition of a rascal. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada is telling this story to this devotee. He says, so that's a. So he said, you're a rascal because you left that place of preaching, but you didn't know where you were going to go after that. You gave up the preaching there, but you didn't go preaching somewhere else. You didn't know what you were going to be doing.
И еще сказал, он рассказал, кому приехал в историю, говорит, и ты негодяй, потому что ты сам отправил проповедовать в одно место, а ты его сам оставил и уехал в другое.
Okay. Another paragraph. To illustrate the foolishness. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to illustrate the foolishness of being a blind follower.
Рассказал про глупость слепого следователя.
So he told the story about the death of Sargal Singh. It's the name of a person or somebody. Death, some living entity by the name of Sargal Singh had died. You understand what we would be for. So Sargal Singh had been very much loved by this one merchant. One person really loved Sargal Singh. So when Sargal Singh died, the man shaved his head, wore dark clothes, and so on. So when somebody came to the shop, the merchant's shop, he saw the merchant was wearing dark, shaved head, dark clothes. He said, "Who has died?" So the merchant says, "Sargal Singh has died." So the visitor, he didn't want to look like he was stupid, so he didn't ask any more questions. But because Sargal Singh had died, he also shaved his head and wore dark clothes. And then little by little, people all over the town started hearing that Sargal Singh died, so they shaved their head and wore dark clothes. So when the king's minister, his advisor, saw so many people shaving their head, wearing dark clothes, he did the same thing. And so the king, seeing that his minister did the same thing, he said, "Who are you mourning for?" So the minister said, for Sargal Singh, who has died.
И министр ответил, ну вот, просто министр ответил, что Саргал Синг.
So the minister had no idea who Sargal Singh was. He was just following what everyone else was doing.
Но министр не знал, кто такой Саргал Синг, он просто видел, что большинство людей, они вот делают это, право соблюдают, поэтому он так и сам делал.
So finally the minister went back to the source, the merchant, and he says, who is Sargal Singh?
И тогда министр, он пошел к этому владельцу этого магазина и спросил, кто такой этот Саргал Синг?
So the merchant said, Sargal Singh was my donkey, who I loved very much. So the whole town was lamenting and shaving head, wearing dark clothes, feeling bad because Sargal Singh had died, but no one ever asked. So they were actually doing all this for one donkey. So Srila Prabhupada told that story to explain to illustrate the danger of just being a blind follower. Which means and a blind follower meaning, of course, you just do what everyone does or says without understanding why you're doing it.
И слепое следование означает, что человек что-то делает, чему-то следует, но он даже не понимает, зачем он это делает.
We only have a couple of minutes left. It's a long. Next section is kind of long. So, any questions?
У нас осталось пару минут, а следующая глава очень длинная. Какие-то вопросы? Question concerning the story when chased girl was
Yes.
Вопрос по истории, где девушка в Колумбии наехала к своему мужу. А как она вообще сама ехала в этом поезде с сопровождением мужчин? The question is why that those girls was visiting husband home without father, without man, without they were visiting only two girls.
Yeah, that was the system.
Is it possible? If it is possible, the girls to be without protection of men in a common place. То есть неужели это возможно, что девочки могут сами ехать без сопровождения мужчин, сами?
Well, apparently it was okay. She was sent by her parents because that was the system. The system is the girls are married. In Vedic culture, sometimes they're 8, 10 years old. They're children. The idea is to be married. The girls in Vedic system were married before the period, the puberty period came. Before they started getting. And they would not at that time be living with the husband, but they were married. They knew that I am married. I've got my husband. and then gradually, apparently it's gradually after the puberty period, maybe the early teenager period, they started actually going to visit the husband, not living with him, but visiting, bringing gifts, and a little bit of association to start with.
Пока они начинали жить вместе с мужем, она иногда посещала его дом, подарки.
So yes, so she was certainly directed by her parents to do this, and she was going only to see her husband, and who was living in another place. So apparently it was not necessary that somebody accompanied her, but she was sent for that purpose, and she was going to see her husband in another place, and she was specifically keeping her face covered so that men would not become attracted to her on the way there. Yeah, it appears that the idea was to let her go and be with her husband alone, so that the father, the others wouldn't be there. So she was, in this case, she was going on a train because he was living wherever he was living, someplace you had to go by train. Yeah, so that's so anyway. Apparently, that was the system. It was a system. And the Srila Prabhupada's point in the story was that, that by that system she was shy. She was not going to show her face to any man outside of her family and her husband. So she was the girl from the city who was more not following the Vedic system. She was thinking, come on, show your face. Show off, let everyone see you. And she would not, this girl would not allow it. Okay, so we'll end here. Tomorrow we will again attempt to do week 1 again for the Vaishnava etiquette course. The streaming part of it didn't happen last week, and so we'll do it a second time for those who are observing outside. And yes. Yeah, we'll just repeat it because I recorded it last week. I recorded it and I sent it out, but then the recording I didn't know until afterwards. You could hardly hear it.
Завтра у нас второй раз повторим завтра первое занятие по этикету, потому что в предыдущую субботу не было трансляции, не работала. Поэтому завтра повторим.
Okay, so we'll end